Hi, my name is John and you're watching the Olive Drab Alliance. Thank you very much for clicking on the video. I appreciate it greatly. Today, we're going to talk about something that's not necessarily as fancy or cool or tactical as, rucksacks, canteens, e-tools, things along those lines, but we're going to talk about something that is vitally important. And just a week ago, just 7 days, I learned a hard lesson on how important it can be. We're talking about gloves in an SHTF grid down tactical scenario. So let me start by telling you a little story about this, how this happened. Not cool. We were out here on the farm, me and my son, and we had our dog, our little Belgian Malinois here with us, and our Belgian Malinois loves to play fetch, whether it's a ball, a stick, a toy. He just wants to play fetch all the time. So he brought me a stick. He brought me this stick. This is the stick in question. And, he dropped it at my feet and looked at me with those sad puppy dog eyes, and I couldn't help but pick it up with my hand, and I really wanted to throw it as far as I could. So I went way back, and I threw it as hard as I could. And as it left my hand, it jammed a splinter into my middle finger. It would have been this part of my middle finger right here, that first knuckle. And man, it hurt. It hurt like an SOB. So, it's just a splinter though, right? I went home. That was on a Friday, a week ago today. I went home. I figured I'll just take the splinter out with some tweezers. Oh no, it was in there deep. Way deep. The next day, Saturday, after work, I decided I had enough of this splinter. It wasn't going to work its way out, so I got some rubbing alcohol, poured it on some tweezers, a needle, and I started digging around in there. I was going to get this thing come hell or high water. No such luck. It was way in there, and I couldn't get to it. Sunday and Monday I had to work double shifts, but now it was getting infected. I won't show you any pictures or video of the infection because it was pretty nasty. My whole finger around that knuckle got red and swollen. You could squeeze nasty stuff out of there, and an infection can take you out pretty quick, especially if you imagine a world where you don't have access to good medical care, antibiotics, things of that nature. So I was taken out of the game by a little tiny splinter, which today it's just going to be an annoyance. You might end up like this, but think about it. In a grid down scenario, a tactical environment, an SHTF world, an infection can totally take you out the game permanently. So this happened on a Friday. Here it is the following Tuesday. I go to the walk-in clinic and they're like, oh man, it's in there pretty deep. It's pretty badly infected. They did an x-ray. Of course, wood does not show up on x-rays, but they wanted to rule out any kind of metal or anything. They gave me a shot in my thigh, super thick antibiotics. It felt like somebody hit me with a hammer. I was limping. It was a pretty heavy-duty shot. They gave me a tetanus shot. They prescribed me some kind of antibiotic that I had to take every 6 hours, and that messed up my stomach pretty bad. I couldn't go too far from a toilet, but I won't go into more detail on that. So I had a follow-up appointment at the clinic with orthopedic, and he put a shot of Novocaine in my finger, got his scalpel out, started cutting. Long story short, it was way down in there. He pulled out a splinter 1 1/4 centimeters long. Now I got 5 stitches in my middle finger, and pretty much I'm not at 100% right now. I'm fine. I'll be fine. Don't worry about, I don't need any sympathy or nothing. It's going to be great. But, in a grid down world, post-apocalyptic type environment now, how am I going to run a rototiller? How am I going to work a shovel? How am I going to carry heavy things when this hand is all messed up? Just from a little teeny tiny 1 1/4 centimeter splinter. This isn't the kind of injury that is going to do you any kind of good today, but think about if you're on the front lines. Think about if you're in an SHTF or a grid down type place, this, not only can you do less work and accomplish fewer tasks, but if it weren't for those antibiotics, whether it was the shot or the pills they gave me, this could have led to the loss of my finger, my hand. This could have spread. I could have got blood poisoning. You know, without modern medicine, a teeny tiny little injury can lead to tragedy. Which leads me to the topic of the video, gloves. If I had just been wearing a simple pair of gardening gloves when I picked up that stick and threw it to the dog, this would have never happened. You know, my whole week, this last week, would have been a whole lot better. And today I wouldn't have some dude cutting into my finger with a scalpel and then putting 5 stitches in my finger if I had just been wearing gloves. This could have all been avoided. You know, I got a bunch of gear. Canteens, backpacks, knives, shovels, hatchets, on and on and on. But I'm kind of a bonehead. One thing I've neglected, and maybe you have too, is decent gloves for when you're out on the trail or out in the woods or just messing around out there somewhere, or just doing some gardening task, or even just playing catch with your dog. Man, from now on, you're going to see me wearing gloves much more frequently, I can assure you that. And I'll be honest with you, this wasn't the video I was planning on making this week. I was thinking about doing a video on binoculars in a tactical situation. How that's an overlooked piece of gear, but could be very useful. Stick around, subscribe. You're not going to want to miss that one. Should be interesting. But yeah, gloves, definitely overlooked. Definitely, you know, well, I see them on a lot of people's loadout gear list and in their loadouts, but not everybody's. And you haven't seen them on mine. You will. I learned the hard way because I got a thick skull. I'm a big dummy. Don't be a dummy. Add some gloves to your kit. I mean, I have gloves. They're just basic gardening gloves, but they'll work. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, fancy, or tactical. Just got to have something to protect your hands. But what I want to know down in the comments is, what kind of gloves do you recommend? What should I get? So yeah, it's weird how you never really think about a body part. I mean, who thinks about that until you get hurt, until you got a little bit of an injury, and then you realize all the things you can't do because you got stitches in there, or a blister, or just some minor petty injury that can just prevent you from doing the things you want to do. I mean, I could still do stuff. I could still run the rototiller. I could still shovel. I could still rake. But it's not going to be pleasant, and I'm not going to be as efficient as I want to be at doing those things. And I keep saying this, but if I had just been wearing a glove, wouldn't be in that situation. Besides, that is my driving finger. That's what my mother-in-law calls it. That's your good driving finger. Anyway, if you're enjoying the video, give it a like, leave me a comment. You can find Olive Drab Alliance on Facebook. Go ahead and send me a friend request. We can be pals. And don't forget to click the link below or go to olivedraballiance.com to get you a cool 2x3-inch Olive Drab Alliance morale patch. They're made in the USA. They got the Velcro back so you can stick them on your gear, stick them on your clothes, stick them wherever. None of my business once I ship them out. You know, I've got goals. Every day I got these goals. And if I can get through my day meeting these goals, I've had a good day. Number one, stay off the news. As long as I don't make the 6 o'clock news, good day, right? Number two, stay out of the emergency room. If I can go through a day without being on the news or being in the emergency room, it's a great day. So I hope you have a great day yourself. Anyway, I'll see you all down the trail somewhere. Until then, have a better day than I have today. Try to stay out of the emergency room